Hi everyone, my name is Johanna and I'm an advanced conversational hypnotherapist and coach specializing in perinatal mental health. Just recently, I became an auntie again. My youngest brother, he had a beautiful baby girl. And I was discussing this with my mum. I was discussing how incredibly hands-on he is with her as a new dad, as his first baby. And I'm incredibly proud of him, obviously. And at this point, it was that my mum confessed to me how she was, well, just slightly sort of jealous when I had my firstborn, which is almost 10 years ago now. She was a bit jealous of how hands-on my dad was with my youngest baby, and he still is. It's his oldest grandchild now, and they're incredible together. My dad did absolutely everything with him after he was born, even probably more so than my husband did. Like things, change nappies, he would sit down for hours playing with him or trying to get him fed or put him to bed. He was a bad sleeper and he was absolutely brilliant with him. He would bathe him. He would come along to there were lots of hospital appointments, and he would come along to every one of them. Things like the hearing test that was done at the hospital, and he was there for several jabs. I even remember that he once held his, had to spread the wee arms at the hospital, had to spread the wee arms to give him the jabs. And I remember my dad standing behind him trying to make him smile, because obviously he didn't like his grandchild getting jabs, and he was trying to make him smile, and you could see all that yucky stuff and his wrinkles in his neck. You ever experienced that? I bathed him every other day, but still he had that yucky stuff in his neck, like puking, sweaty, and the white stuff. And I remember that I was really quite embarrassed with it, and my dad was trying to distract the nurse from it because he picked up on my unease. Obviously the nurse was very cool. She's seen it all before. But yeah, I sort of felt like a bad mum at the time. These things happen to the best of us. I can accept that now, but I digress. Because this is about having my dad there, the grandparent of my first child. And he was just absolutely lovely about it all. And he was there every step of the way to help me. And my mum was just recently telling me that she was sort of jealous and proud at the same time, because when my dad, when we were younger, my dad wasn't a very hands-on father at all. He was always working. It wasn't that he didn't want to be, it was just the way it was done at the time. And we have quite a traditional Catholic family where my dad worked, and my mum was a stay-at-home mum for many years. When the six of us, we have six kids. And she was the stay-at-home mum, and she used to do everything by herself. My dad didn't go to these appointments with her ever. And now all of a sudden he's turned into this very hands-on grandpa, which is, for me and for the bonding with my oldest son, it's absolutely wonderful. So back to my brother, who is also very, very hands-on with his little girl. He took 6 weeks parental leave after my wee niece was born. And he's recently returned to work. He works irregular shifts. So him and his girlfriend have decided that he'll work a little less, which enables him to, have his daddy's days with his daughter, which is absolutely brilliant. I can almost feel a bit of jealousy coming on here. But I can honestly say my husband, he went back to work like a couple of hours after our children were born. And our children were born prematurely, so there were many medical complications. Yeah, but he was back at work. So, and to be fair on him, he has his own company. So the stakes financially are different, to working for a boss, to being on a contract somewhere when you have to provide for yourself. But still, I was very much left alone to my own devices. And that didn't really help, that big, fat, ugly hole that I fell into at one point. That big, fat, ugly anxiety, mummy burnout hole. Something I denied for a long time, as long as possible, because I was still stuck on the idea that hubby needed to go out and earn money, and mental health, that'll take care of itself. I'll get back there at some point. Yeah, it has to take a back seat. I would sit it out. And in hindsight, I should have done some things very, very differently, but that's not what today's video I want it to be about. Because the point that I am trying to make is that, even though he is a wonderful dad, let me say that first of all, he's a wonderful dad. Also, he really needed some time to adjust to fatherhood. And, that's just the way it is. That's just the way he is. We can all have opinions and ideas about that. But at the end of the day, the two of us, we got there, and all the hurdles that we were forced to take, and there were many big hurdles to take, we survived. And I honestly feel that our relationship has gotten stronger because of it now. And that's wonderful for us. But I can really imagine that it's an extreme strain on marriages, on relationships, when one partner is forced to do more than the other. So my brother, on the other hand, he really took to fathering. Well done, kudos for him. Now, there is a bit of a generation gap between my brother and my husband, about 16 years, 16 years age difference. And I think that hubby is more from that men don't change nappies generations. But it sort of inspired me to start looking into, father generation of today. And yeah, there's a huge difference, which is good news for us moms, that there's a huge difference from how it was to how it is now. And obviously my brother is a perfect example how different it can be, because he's really embracing fatherhood and he wants to be involved in absolutely everything. And again, don't get me wrong, because my husband, he absolutely has the parenting skills. I don't want to sound mean about him. But yeah, they didn't come as naturally and instinctively to my husband as they are coming from my brother, which is wonderful for their family. So why was I telling you about how proud I am of my little brother taking all these daddy duties so seriously? Why is the general reaction to things like, oh, wow, he's babysitting his own child. Ooh, well done to him. Or, when we see a dad walking along the street midday on a weekday, we automatically wonder, where's that baby's mother? Why is the dad with the baby? Isn't that sweet? Oh, he must have taken a day off for this. Or is he secretly pulling a sickie? That is often what we think. But really the truth is that, excuse me, that mums and dads, they are becoming more and more equal. No, obviously, a man can't be pregnant, can't carry a child. But the tasks evolving around these two very important things, they can really be divided equally, all these tasks, which is great news for us ladies, right? And I can almost hear you thinking, yeah, right, tell that to my boyfriend or to my husband. But, they may have just been programmed in a different way, like my husband was. Maybe they are thinking very traditionally that you are supposed to be the one doing these tasks, and he's supposed to be the one doing these tasks. Logically, though, they can do everything, except for carry the baby in the womb. And they can't give birth, they can't breastfeed, but the rest can be done equally, almost 100%. And, I'll make it even more interesting. Even though, men can't literally give birth, a father is also sort of born when a baby is born. Now, let me try and explain that to you. And I'll give you some scientific proof behind this. So hear me out. It was around the turn of the century that researchers discovered something that was very interesting about the way that a man's body, it's inside, it really changes when they become a father. Yeah, they actually transform when becoming a dad. Lots of things happen in our bodies as women, but things also honestly change in dads. And it's important to note here is that you don't have to be, per se, the biological parent. The same goes for adoptive dad, heterosexual, homosexual. The hormonal systems alter dramatically when one becomes a parent. Mums and dads equally. The discovery basically implies that despite the smaller roles that many fathers believe they should play, a belief that has been around for many centuries, that is in fact incorrect. And internal chemistries, they change in a dad's body, and they change in such a way that a chemical called oxytocin, which is also known as the love hormone, it spikes in a father's body when he holds and when he engages with his newborn. In the same way that it does in a mother's initial bonding with her child after birth as well. The exact same thing happens for dad. And while that love drugs pumps through a new father's body, his testosterone levels typically drop, making him less prone to risk-taking behavior, where most men are known for taking bigger risks. That testosterone drops. And also, oddly, he registers an increase of a chemical called prolactin, which is a hormone best known for helping women produce breast milk, which is a hormone that also men have. And its purpose in men, it turns out, is even greater than breastfeeding. Another research shows that this prolactin hormone, it functions, it's a very important function for the way a dad interacts with their child. Fathers with a higher prolactin level apparently play with their babies in ways that are very beneficial for their babies learning and for exploration. And the father also seems to be more responsive and sensitive to infants' cries, according to University of Notre Dame anthropologist Lee Gettler. So this hormone, this prolactin, plays a very big role in the desire for a dad to interact with his child or not. Now, it is very important to realize here that these processes, these hormonal processes in dads' bodies, they will only fire off inside their bodies if they actively interact with the baby. So what I mean with that is that just being in the same room as a child, that's not enough. They have to really physically have to interact with their babies to get these hormones firing up. They have to actually provide care for their child. So yeah, basically, again, going back to my brother, it's a bit like him. And also my dad, the other example I gave you, the more interaction between him and my oldest son and between my brother and his new young baby, it can become like a snowball, a very positive snowball effect, and come, something very positive for your new family dynamics. So basically, to summarize, studies have shown that the more intimate time a dad has with his baby, the lower his testosterone dips, and the more empathic and soothing he is with his child. So this also means that mums, they're not the only ones who can wake up from a crying baby. Men who interact more with their kids, they will also, the more that prolactin goes around in their body, they will wake up from a crying child. So there's no more excuses. And that also goes a long way to explain how some, maybe not even biological fathers, they can have such a warm bond, such a special warm bond with their babies. So to give you an example, my mum, she was right in a way that my dad, who now has a very special bond with my oldest son, he was so involved with him from the get-go, and it really shows in their relationship, which is, for me as a mum, wonderful to see. But when me and my sisters and brother were younger, he didn't interact with us as much. And he obviously didn't make those hormones, and we had a different bonding with each other. It doesn't mean we didn't have a bond, absolutely not, but it was definitely different from what I see between him and my son. So the research done for over the past 40 years, it really goes to show that fathers aren't just, the convenient backup to mothers. It's just so super important to have a good balance in your home. And with many families nowadays having two parents that work, it's just crucial to have both parents chipping in every way possible. And with this knowledge, there's basically no more excuse, to become a warm and happy and healthy family with happy, healthy relationships. And, all it takes is basically get these oxytocin and prolactin hormones to start jiggling through your body. It just takes a lot of cuddling and lots of kissing and being together to get these hormones flowing. And, Bob's your uncle. So maybe you want to show this to your partner tonight. Just a thought. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Take care.